Hey there, mamas to be. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about the pelvic floor muscles and how you can get into the pelvic floor muscles during breathing and how you can use the breathing to connect further when you're doing any pelvic floor exercises. So why do we care about the pelvic floor? Well, the pelvic floor is important because it's made up of a group of muscles with the intention of supporting your pelvic organs, which are, for women, your bowel, your bladder, and your uterus. And during childbirth, well, even during pregnancy, you're having all this pressure put on your pelvic floor. And then you also have a hormone called relaxin coursing through your body. And that's purpose is to relax the ligaments and the muscles of the pelvic outlet so that when you give birth, they can move and stretch to allow the head to pass. So during childbirth as well, you can have increased pressure, not just for pregnancy, but as you're moving the child through, and you can cause some damage to those pelvic floor muscles. So we want to strengthen those muscles while we're pregnant, and then we also want to work on those again when we're postpartum. So today I wanted to go over some breathing and exercises that you can do while you're pregnant. So today I have a bolster, and then I also have a block, and it can be your choice. If you don't have either of these, that's okay. You can use a firmer pillow. But what I usually like to tell people when we're connecting to the pelvic floor breath, if you have something underneath you, it provides a little bit of feedback rather than just using the floor. And also for some women in pregnancy, it's more comfortable to have the knees below the hips. So whatever's comfortable for you. I'm going to take my bolster first, and I'm just going to place it underneath my sacrum. And then my knees are going to be lower. So what happens to your pelvic floor muscles when you breathe is that when you inhale, your diaphragm fills up, puts some pressure on your internal organs, everything kind of shifts down, and so your pelvic floor drops towards the floor. And then when you exhale, it releases back up. So we want to use that to our advantage when we're doing exercises. We don't want to do a muscle contraction during an inhale because that's kind of opposites and it's not working to our advantage. So first thing I want you to do is either sit on the floor, sit on a bolster, sit on a block, sit on a pillow, sit on whatever. You're going to close your eyes. Take an inhale in through your nose. Exhale out your nose. And just start to connect to your breath here. See if you can deepen your breath. So as you inhale, the belly expands, rib cage expands, moving up through the chest lifts. And then when you exhale, it's just that reverse action. Now, as you start to inhale, I want you to start to imagine the pelvic floor reaching down into the floor. It's okay if you don't feel it if this is your first time. It's okay if you don't actually feel that movement in the pelvic floor, but we still want to imagine it happening. Guided imagery is a whole nother thing, but it really can help with the task that you're doing. So breathing in, that pelvic floor starts to drop. Breathing out. And at this point, we're not doing anything to try to control this breath. We're just noticing it right now, seeing if we can connect to those muscles. Now you can stay here for as many breaths as you would like, but for the purpose of the video, I'm going to move on. So when you exhale, you're gently going to lift through the pelvic floor. A lot of people do Kegels incorrectly, and they're telling you to do Kegels, and we do these like fast twitch motions, and we're just contracting and then releasing it all away. But what you want to try to do is use your breath for that. So when you exhale, see if you can gently lift the pelvic floor, and then when you inhale, see if you can release. And then keep doing that for a few breaths. And then to move even more forward, when you exhale, see if you can draw up more through the pelvic floor. So it's kind of like an elevator, right? I tell them, you know, somebody told me this too and I love it, but close the doors and then see if you can lift up the pelvic floor so that it's almost like you're going up floors, literally. And then when you're coming back down, don't let it crash down. You want to see if you can come back down those floors on your inhale. So again, you want to connect to your breath when you do this. So gentle inhales and exhales. And then staying with that a few times. And you can do this as long as you'd like. Again, it's just important to try to, one, connect to your pelvic floor. Everyone thinks, you know, it's just about the tightening of it, but the release is just as important so that you have control of your pelvic floor as well. So continue to do this exercise, you know, a few times throughout the week. You can do it before you go to bed. You can do it in the morning. It's a pretty easy way to connect to your pelvic floor. If you guys have any questions, you know, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. Thanks.